Bonsoir. Moi, j'aime beaucoup, en fait, parce que quand je suis à Lille, ce public est...
I love this because when
d'être une star
I'm in
moi-même.
Lille, I feel like a star myself. You're really
Il est quand même
too
déjà une
kind.
star.
He is a star.
Ah oui, oui, oui. Non, Pierre Langlais, c'est
Yes,
spécialiste.
Pierre Langlais is
Non,
the
Télérama.
specialist of series. He writes in many
Encyclopédie de la série.
publications.
Et donc,
He's an encyclopedia of series. So
l'animation de
he
cette
was going to
masterclass. Alors,
moderate this
je vais en profiter parce
masterclass.
qu'elle ne parle pas français.
And I'd like
Pour dire,
to
c'est un
say
personnage,
that really
Pamela
Pamela,
Adlon.
she
C'est
doesn't speak
une
French, so
femme
take this opportunity to say that she's
qui
quite a
donne
character.
plein de vie.
She
Elle a
is
été
full of life. She was
Elle fait, vous
an
avez
actor.
sa voix.
You
Elle
will hear her
n'hésite pas
voice.
à faire des
She
voice-overs,
doesn't
comme on dit,
hesitate
des
with
doublages
some
de films.
stunning voiceover of
Jeune. Et puis, elle s'est
animated films, and then she also directed
revenir
her
dessus,
series,
qui a eu, je crois,
Better
toi tu dois
Things,
connaître ça par cœur,
which
Grammys.
had a Grammys and
Oui, alors
many
attends, moi
awards.
j'ai une fiche normalement.
Now, yeah, I should be able to read.
Et Golden Globe.
3 nominations to the Emmy Award.
Elle va chercher des
And a Golden Globe for her
danse
performance.
en plus.
She
Donc,
does a lot with her own life. She dances in a show. She accepted to be the president of the international
parce que c'est une femme
competition here in MANIA. She is a woman who has a lot of energy. So she's a short person, but you're going to spend a very nice evening. Let's give a warm welcome to Pamela Adlon.
Hi. Don't.
Let's just do 1 hour and 30 minutes of clapping like that.
I mean,
That's good for the
is that
spirit.
for me? Okay.
Madam President,
Oui.
how does that sound?
El Jefe. I mean, it's like we walk around in it, and the whole jury's making fun of me. They're like, let the president go first.
Have you ever been the president of anything?
No. It's my first time being the president. I mean, I'm the president of my own company, so.
That's already that.
Yeah.
How does it feel to watch series? That's something you do? Watching them, you do them, but do you watch? And when you watch, do you judge what you're watching?
You know, that's really interesting because I love television. I grew up with television. My father was a writer and producer, and so I grew up on sound stages. And, you know, I was behind the scenes, and I never really thought that I was going to be in front of the camera. I kind of would walk around pretending to be a producer. I would pick up a script and put it under my arm when I was like 9 years old, and throw a scarf around my neck because I thought that's what a producer does. They wear a scarf. But yeah, and there was one show that my father was doing with Jimmy Comack, who was like a legendary sitcom producer from the 70s. And he let me do the warm-up for the audience before when I was like 10 years old. And I think I told really inappropriate jokes, and they didn't let me do that again. So anyway, yes, I do. I love series. I watch a lot of shows. There's certain shows that are very special to me and important to me that I loved when I was growing up. And so I brought my own kids up watching those shows that I loved.
Now you have to tell us which ones.
Sonny and Cher, obviously. You know, like the ones that were, I think that when I was a kid, you know, in the 70s, things were dangerous, and they were written to be cautionary, to help kids grow up, and it's just like, I would watch those shows, and I would make up my own shows and record my own shows when I was a kid.
So you're already a showrunner back then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in my bedroom with my little press play and record cassette recorder.
but was there already a conscious vision of your life being about that, or were you just a kid and that's the world you grew up in, or was there already? It's a tough question, I guess, to answer, but do you feel that, although it's a caricatural question, you were born to do that and there was no other way for you?
You know, I think that I was very myopic about, I wanted to be a lawyer, but then I thought, oh, I'll be an actor, because that was like the natural way. And so I was trying to be an actor for years and years, and I was succeeding and then not getting jobs. And so somehow it caught up to me that I realized I'd always been creating. I'd always been documenting, photographing, writing. I was a published songwriter when I was a teenager, and I didn't remember this until later when I was doing a talkback like one of these for Better Things. And I realized that I'd always been doing it. And I just kind of was waiting, staying in place as an actor, which I think is really, that's what I mean when, you know, if there's young people in here or people my age who are trying to do what I do, you want to do more than just one thing and don't keep yourself in a box. And so that's kind of where my head was. And then, you know, when I was in my late 40s, my life started opening up and all these new muscles were being built.
Well, obviously that's going to be most of the discussion here, but let's start with the first clip from your, let's say, your early days. Okay. And then we'll talk a bit about acting, and then we'll move on to more. So that's clip one, and that's from your early days.
Cash over there on the desk. Merry Christmas.
Stevie, cool it. That lady's been nice to us.
Not as nice as her old man's been to her.
How do you want your coffee, George?
Hot.
Of course it will be hot.
Hotter. She picked up something. All right, hold it, you.
George, you are being ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, if I'm being so ridiculous, what do you call this? Huh?
That's a brownie.
Well, where's my wife's bracelet?
I don't have it. Don't look at me.
Oh my God. So I'm the one not wearing the hat, if you guys were confused. That's crazy. I'm 150 years old, yes. I was on the Jeffersons, which was a classic Norman Lear series. And, you know, I mean, he's one of my heroes. And it was just an incredible thing to, like, be on that set and to work with Sherman Hemsley. And it's funny because Lenny Kravitz and I are buddies, and we grew up together. And so his mom, Roxy Roker, was in the Jeffersons. And so it's just, it's a great memory. It's so crazy that that was me. I mean, obviously my balls hadn't dropped. My voice was very high. And yeah, that was a really, really fun memory.
Was that a time of your career where you were just an actress? Like, I mean, you were very young, so I don't know how far you could project yourself and think about how you're going to work and everything. But was that the time you were talking about where it was just like, okay, let's be an actress?
Yeah, it's just, you know, there were moments that, you know, getting cast was just the greatest thing. And if you could be in that world, you were very, very lucky. And so, yeah, I could never see beyond that. But it's interesting because my father wrote an episode of The Jeffersons. And so, you know, I always had this example of, you know, my dad in the house writing, always with a football game on. I was like, how can you write? The football game is on. But, yeah, that's when I was just purely acting. I was a teenager, so.
Looking back, do you, understand that you learned stuff being in such iconic shows that you then used doing better things or other stuffs you work on?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I was fascinated by everybody who was behind the camera. And I would always talk to everybody. I wanted to be on the set all the time. I never wanted to be a famous actress. That was not interesting to me. I wanted to work in the entertainment industry. I wanted to do anything. It literally didn't matter. So through the years, as I was working and making television and animation and films, I would start talking to the gaffers and focus puller and the DP, and it was really something that it was within reach, but I could not imagine, especially when you're a woman. Ladies, let's talk, because when you're when you're a girl and when you're a woman, it's all about the way you look, and it's all about how old you are, and so your limits become more and more during that time. I truly believe that's totally different now, because here I am in my 50s and I do all of the things that I never could imagine that I could do, but that was a big part of it, and just kind of seeing past the limitations and saying, well, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm too young, now I'm too old. It's the many phases.
You said it was all about how you look. For you, there is one thing that made a big difference. It's how you sound. So before we watch a clip, when did you realize that your voice was an amazing tool that you could use to, correct me if I'm wrong, but to start another career, or at least to make a difference in your acting career?
Yeah, it was so. The man who is still my agent for my voice, he heard my voice in a commercial.
When was that?
So I did a commercial for Jack in the Box. Do you guys have that here?
Burgers, right?
Yeah.
It's burgers. Yeah.
And tacos and, fast food. And I didn't have a commercial agent. It was a fluke, because somebody was doing it and they wanted me to, I had a catchphrase. You guys are gonna fucking look this up. I know it. Whatever. I said, do it with chicken. Bye. I gotta go. I just saved you the trouble of looking it up. But the interesting thing about this commercial is that William Fraker shot it, the DP who shot Close Encounters. And so it was beautiful. And I was so into the whole experience. So this Paul Doherty, who's still my agent, he heard my voice and he had me come into the studio and he handed me sides and he said, read this. And I said, but this is for a boy. He goes, just read it. And it was for 7-Eleven campaign, and I played young Kevin. And I did that for years. And that became my bread and butter and how I paid my rent. Because I didn't think there was anything interesting about my voice or me. I didn't have any self-confidence. So that was something that was like a tool that I was able to use when somebody gave me the guidance.
Let's hear your voice in, I'd say, your most famous voice work. So it's the clip number 2.
You've got to help me defend myself from Chain Wasana song.
There is one other class, but it wouldn't be right for you.
There's nothing about the YMCA that's right for me. But until I'm famous enough to afford my own bodyguard, I am going to have to learn how to defend myself.
Every one of you in this class is heavily armed right now. That's right. Your keychain, your fists, that huge engagement ring. Are you sure you're in the right class? This is women's self-defense.
Please, miss, all the other courses are full.
I'm sorry, it's for women only. We're trying to maintain a certain comfort level here.
But I hate men as much as you.
I don't hate men. I just hate being a victim.
I hate being a victim, too.
This was, I would say, the greatest gift. When I got the part of Bobby on King of the Hill, I remember auditioning for it, and it was Mike Judge and Greg Daniels, and Greg said, don't think I'm being rude, but I need to turn around and not look at you. And he turned around, and there was a sketch of Bobby on the cork board, and I remember I wasn't prepared for it at all. Like, I went to the audition, and it was blind, and they said it's a little 12-year-old boy from Texas, and I was like, oh shit, I should have watched Badlands last night or something to prepare me, but it just happened organically. And then the show, like watching how they drew it, how they made the animation, and it would take like 9 months to a year to like complete, and doing the animatics and the color, and being able to do this part for 13 seasons was unbelievable. And another bonus is I learned so much about writing from King of the Hill. And I realized it was my favorite thing, that there were just these natural moments, and they would allow for real humanity, and which to me is where you get the best humor. And it just was an incredible gift.
So using your voice helped you finding your voice.
Yes, absolutely. Good, Pierre.
I prepared this one for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so how did it feel? Like when you, is that when you thought, all right, now I have to start writing? Was that early that you thought that you could write your own stuffs? How did you come to figure out that you are a writer too?
Well, I was writing, you know, my whole life. I started writing and keeping a journal when I was 10. But during King of the Hill, I had 3 children. I had 3 girls. So I was kind of out of my mind, you know, raising my kids. And this allowed me to, take care of my children. And then when my youngest was like almost 2, I was like, I don't know how long this show is going to last. You know, it's this survival instinct that, you know, I have, you know, just in me, in my bones, because my dad, you know, the jobs dried up for him as a writer when he, you know, hit 50, and he was suffering from ageism as a writer. And so then I, you know, would see like a window closing, and I would say, now it's time to go make some money and get another job. And, you know, everything in my life is about the windows. And when you feel a window closing or a window opening, you have to react to it, and you've got to jump through it.
Was that an easy thing? Then we'll move on in your career and watch another clip from another of your acting job. But was that an easy thing once you were identified as an actress to say, listen, I'm not just an actress, and to get yourself this other seat of the creative side?
Yeah, it was, it became something that I knew that I could do. When I was a teenager, there was MTV Anybody remember?
Of course.
Was that here? Okay, thank you. Don't yell. I'm kidding. But MTV was, Madonna had a, do you guys remember this? She had a Make My Video contest, and she said, go ahead, make my video. And it was for her song, True Blue. And so my friends and I made a video for True Blue, and we were top 10. And so this was like the beginning
You're gonna
of
watch
my...
it now. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm dying to see it.
I don't have it.
I don't know where it is. But so I had started, I made a documentary film when I was 19 that I shot on 16 millimeter and cut it on 16. And I brought this group of people into the studio and recorded them. And I used that as my essay to get into film school, NYU, Tisch School of the Arts. I didn't get in. And I remember like sitting at a talk back like this, and it was in the Village in New York City at IFC. And I said, how many people here went to NYU, Tisch? And like half of them raised their hands, and I'm like, good for you. Guess what? I didn't get in, and you're here to hear me speak. Which not like, fuck you, whatever. It was like I wanted to inspire the people who didn't have a shot at getting into film school.
So you trusted yourself, but did the industry let you do the switch from Pamela Adlon, the actress, to Pamela Adlon, the creative?
Yeah, and it's not easy. It really is not easy. And I remember when on one show that I did, there was a woman who was an assistant to the showrunner, and she got one of her episodes made that she wrote, and then she had to leave the show. And I said, why are you leaving? And she said, I can't stay here because I was his assistant, and now my episode has aired. So again, I feel like this is a woman thing, and it's really like when you have those, it's the windows of opportunity. So so making the switch and having people understand that you've got more, but you have to prove yourself over and over again. So like I remember I was making a film, and I was playing whatever, I'll tell you, it was Bumblebee, and I was playing Haley Steinfeld's mom in this big action movie with, forced perspective and CGI and all of this. And I was talking to the DP, and I was asking him about the Oculus head on this techno crane, and they had it every single day, and I was like, oh my God, like if you get a techno crane, you could afford it for maybe one day ever in 10 years. And so I said, can you tell me about it? And then the guy who was playing my husband in this movie was standing next to me, and the DP didn't look at me. He looked at the guy standing next to me. And I'm a director, and he just could not see it. There's just like this like veil over a lot of people's mind's eye about women, short women. I don't know what it is.
And so how did you do concretely to learn to write TV series? Because we're at a TV series festival. It's a specific kind of writing. Was there another learning, so to speak? Did it take more time to master that art? And of course, we'll later talk about Better Things, which is both masterful and very free from the rules of TV series. But how did you learn at least the basics to know how to construct a TV series?
Well, I did, again, I did learn from my dad, and then doing 13 seasons of King of the Hill and seeing how they built episodes. I did not learn in the way that people learn, because a lot of the writers on King of the Hill, they all went to Harvard. They, you know, Harvard educated, brilliant. I was able to learn from them. So when I started writing, I didn't even know how to use Final Draft. I was writing longhand, and I was writing on index cards, and I was putting things together like puzzle pieces. And, you know, so then as I started to grow and build writers' rooms, and, you know, it's not only the writing, it's like supervising, and I call myself a rock tumbler. So when we start working on something, if I start working on something, I will just put down anything. And I made a rule for myself that if I have an idea, I write it down. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the night or whatever, because you're not going to remember it. And then I would, you know, after like 3 months or something, I would take everything that I have written down, it just in this bucket, and then put it into a document. And I'm like, okay, this is its own thing. This is a film. This is a show. And then, you know, working with other writers who were, you know, built to write with structure. This is not, for me, this didn't really work for me. So I know we're not talking about better things yet, but I don't.
We'll soon be, but first we're going to watch another clip from, I might say, the show that made your face known in France. So I have to show a clip from Californication. Okay. It's clip number 3.
Am I naked? Okay.
Oh my God. It's the best play that Stewart's ever had.
They do have chemistry, that's for sure.
He seems like a good kid.
He is. I just wish I could get him laid.
Can you get me laid?
Maybe we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You do flower him. It's a win-win.
Hank, I waxed a hooker today. She was young and cute and totally down to fuck.
Really?
Yeah. Probably spendy.
It's only money, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God, that kid would love you forever if you bust his hymen like that chick was fucking bananas hot.
But this sounds too good to be true. Let's just hold on a second. Just wait, whoa.
That was fun. Yeah, it was crazy, because then I go from being like just like almost getting cast in things, and you know, maybe like doing a pilot, shooting, and getting like recast, like getting fired because I wasn't like cute enough or somebody didn't like me. So it kind of became like a thing. And then I got, God bless you, or whatever. It was the chair. It was the chair. Anywho, so it was kind of weird, because Tom Kapanos is another person that was a big influence. When I read the pilot of Californication, I was like, I don't even get it. I remember I was in gymnastics with my daughters, sitting on a cold, hard metal bench, watching them. Years I spent with my kids in gymnastics. Not one of them is a fucking gymnast. So I remember reading the pilot for Californication and just not getting it, because I was like, this is dark. And then I found out it was a comedy. And so with sex. So it was just kind of crazy. So I went from being like this like scrappy boy to doing sex things in this show. But it really was like, you know, you sit there and you look at King of the Hill and you think, this is a cartoon. You see Californication and you think, oh, it's all about sex. I'm not into that. The writing is brilliant. That's the difference. And I mean, the acting, great as well. I'm still like best friends with David and Natasha, and Yeah, it was really incredible. And this was before intimacy coordinators. So I would like to say a word about that.
Sure.
So I kind of became the intimacy coordinator of the show because I was a mom. And so people would come onto the show and I would be like, this is totally okay. Listen to me. Don't do anything you don't want to do. And, you know, I think I invented being an intimacy coordinator, honestly, because I was a mama. And there was like one girl and like we had to do a threesome with Charlie, like some weird sex thing. And I was like, honey, come here. Let's go see the showrunner and we'll tell them what we don't feel like doing, you know? So anyway, it's a funny little thing.
Let's talk about better things. How is it somehow the consequence of all those years of thinking about what your show could be?
Yeah, I didn't really think that I could be the lead of a show. I didn't think that anybody would be interested in me as the lead. And I remember there were certain shows on at that time, and I would see it and I would say, oh, they're supposed to be an actor. I would watch this other show and I'm like, that's so gigantic. Like everything was like so broad and or it was just not the way I would want to do it. And I didn't really have the confidence to sell myself as a lead. And I remember I was guest starring on a TV show that was literally circling the drain like a toilet. It was really bad. It was just like, I learned the term fratter day on this show. So we started Friday morning and we went until like 4 o'clock Saturday morning. And I remember sitting there going, don't these people have families? Why are we still here? And I had 3 little girls. And I remember thinking, I could do this better. I think that they're wasting time and money. And so then I started kind of constructing and coming up with the idea of what the show would be. And so Louis and I wrote it together. We came up with the pilot and we did like an exercise. So he said, I'm going to write a scene of what I think it's going to be. And so then I went off and I wrote a scene. And they were totally different. And the scene I wrote was like, it was called Girls' Night Out. And it was like all these moms going out to an Italian restaurant and they end up like snorting rails in the bathroom and talking about their lives very intimately. And that was the tone of the show. I didn't use that scene in the pilot or in season 1 or 2. I used it in season 3 because I needed her to be able to get out of where she was in the show to even go out for the night.
Was it obvious for you from the beginning of the show that you do it all? In season 1, you're the only director, but then it's just you. Was that also, you kind of said it, was that both a will to tell a story and, very importantly, the way you will make it?
Yeah, so I didn't know that I could do it. So I didn't want to be arrogant and say, you know, oh, I could do everything. Everything is a learning curve, but when it started, I was like, oh, I see it. And because I was there already, I was in the show, I might as well direct it and run it. And it was a genuinely, it was an incredible experience because working with my crew, everybody got a chance to shine, and we would try out shots, and And I was able to, play with music, and I wrote like a 10-page letter to Yoko Ono to use Mother. And I never knew if she read my letter, but then it got back to me that...
The opening song. I mean, the song
That's
you used
right.
in the opening. Yeah.
For the first 2 seasons, I used Mother by Plastic Ono Band and John Lennon. And so then I said, can I put it in the title? I was so excited to introduce new generations to this incredible song. And also to remind people who'd heard it before, and I was able to bake a credit into my titles to, introduce people, and so that's what I would do throughout the seasons.
On every level, and then we're going to watch a clip, on every level, how personal is this show? Because it's easy for people to say, well, it looks like that's a real life, but it's not. So how far did you want to go into putting yourself into this show?
So when we started, I was like, okay, I can't be an actor. Okay, I'll be a manicurist, and I can't have 3 daughters. I'll have 1 boy, and I adopted him from China, and then I'll have a gay brother who lives in the back house. And so I just kept going away from my life. And the expression, write what you know. And so it was the bones of my life that I went to. And the biggest muse is my mom, who is 89 years old. And she would drive me crazy. Anybody else? Anybody? And I would be like, and so I'm raising my girls by myself, and my mother lives next door, and she would start saying something, and finally I one day kind of just turned the lens and I realized, oh my God, she's funny. This is funny. If I can just, step away from it and look at her in that way, it helped me. And it was, I always say that FX paid for my therapy because I was able to put it into the show, but it's incredibly complicated to craft a scripted series that you want to achieve different levels. Like, you want it to have artistry and you want it to be grounded. And I really wanted it to be relatable to not just single moms. I wanted it to be relatable to men, and I wanted it to feel international because my mother's English, and it just kind of all fell together with all of those pieces that are me. But it's not a reality show at all.
Let's watch a clip from season 4.
Mom, get out. My God, nothing fits. I'm so bloated.
I'm sorry that you feel bad, but you have to learn to rein this shit in, okay? I never took my period out on anybody the way that you do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. Maybe I should just go, lay down in my trailer, right?
You know what would be great, Max? If you helped me. It would be great if you helped me. If you cleaned up after yourself, that would be great. If you helped me with your sisters, that would be great.
Kids aren't supposed to help their mom. Their mom is supposed to help them.
Oh, is that the law? I didn't realize that I was breaking, the mommy law.
Yeah, and great job you're doing, by the way, Mom. Frankie basically does whatever the fuck she wants.
Makes me very emotional. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, it's awesome to see that. Thank you for enjoying that word with me. Yeah, I mean, I'm emotional watching it because it's it's triumphant for me to be able to make people laugh and then bring it back around to the heart of it. And so, yeah, that was something that was I was really excited to be able to do that, and they put it on the air, which is incredible.
Can we talk about another skill that you have that we didn't talk about? The casting skills?
You mean I'm a kingmaker?
Something like that?
Or a queen maker? Yeah, so you were talking about my voice, and so I think that what you could have an interesting voice, but you need to have an ear. And so for me, when I'm casting, it's the voice. And I really, I'm drawn to, people who have a strong direction. When I was casting the girls in the show, they were all babies. And so, all three of them, they all had something that was special and in particular. And Mikey in that scene, like when I cast her, I mean, she looks like she came out of my vagina. Basically, looks like everybody on my dad's side of the family. And my real life daughters helped me cast kind of their counterparts in the show.
Better Things, among other qualities, sounded so natural, the dialogues, that it's easy to believe that you guys improvised a lot. How much of that was improvising, and how much of it was a lot of work in the writing room? And if it's a lot of work in the writing room, what's your way of working to get to this feeling of naturalism?
Well, if you have you have to start with a strong script. It's not an improv show. Everything was completely written and by design. And but if you have somebody who's like a genius, like Kevin Pollak, who plays my brother in the show, it's incredible. Like he'll just, you never know what he's gonna say, but also he's really a true actor. And I love to give him shit. It's amazing, because he's like, he would come on to the set and like, if he has to do like something emotional, he'll come and say, "You got 2 takes." And I'm like, really? Like, what if we don't get it? But Kevin Pollak, Greg Cromer, who plays Jeff, in the truck when I say no, Jeff, no. Diedrich Bader. These guys are like genius comedic actors who are also really grounded and brilliant with, just the intense stuff. And I think comedians can do anything. A dramatic actor can't necessarily be funny, but somebody who's genuinely funny has a depth.
You're very generous with your actors, but what kind of boss are you? I mean, you have to be the boss. You're directing, you're producing, you're writing, you're acting. You have to have authority. How do you make sure that your voice, again, is heard and that the show that comes out is your voice, not just a bunch of brilliant people doing whatever they want?
Well, I don't like to waste time. And I just feel like my boot camp was raising 3 girls on my own. I mean, literally nothing is an F7 like that. So we would start the season and I would welcome everybody And I would say, if you see me sitting like on a curb, staring off into space, I don't need a friend. I don't need you to come over and talk to me and give me a hug. I'm concentrating. So I would, you know, set the table in that way. And sometimes it would be a struggle when, you know, I remember I had lost my DP to another project. And so I would have like a new Steadicam operator and a new DP for the day. And I remember setting up this one shot, and these two guys were like high-fiving each other and ignoring me. And I turned to my first AD, who was a woman, Sally Sue Lander, and I didn't even have to say anything. I went, are you? And she goes, I'm so used to this shit. Because the men were ignoring me. And so on my show that I was the director and the star of, so this stuff can get away from you. And, you know, I mean, you just create a very safe set where everybody's heard and that they understand. You know, for me, with Better Things, it was the perfect union of my network, FX, and me, because they left me alone. And so instead of like having to write 30 emails, 130 emails to get approvals, everything stopped with me and we went quickly.
It's interesting because you answer most of my questions, at least in this part of this discussion, as a director. Like you remember being on set, how you work on set, the relationships with people. Does it mean that it's probably a more important time than the time you spend alone writing the scripts or with your writing room? Are you mostly a director that happens to write, or the other way?
Well, if you're lucky enough to be able to construct and craft the script, it's like if you're talking about me as an actor, if I don't have my lines completely baked in and I have not done my work before I report to work, I'm fucked. Same with the scripts. Once I have the scripts, I don't have anxiety about going into direct. And so if you're doing a show that is being written as you're directing it, you don't have that freedom. So the greatest thing was being able to build and write the season, then go in, shoot it, and then there's post, which is like the caviar. And, you know, like John Landgraf, who runs FX, he said, well, now you've got your bricks and now you go build your house.
Let's watch another clip from Better Things.
I got my period when I was 12 years old. I actually felt like it was a cool thing, like my body had this ability to do something incredible. Like I was a part of something bigger than just myself. I was now considered a woman. But what I didn't realize then was that to be a woman in the world is to be built up and then let down. Why don't we all say this to each other? Women have to say this to each other. Women are afraid to talk to each other. Women should be brothers to each other. We have to be brothers to each other.
I've got chills. My mind is blown open. Sam Fox reporting from the front lines of being a woman. Period. Menopause, Sam Fox!
Me talk. So that was something that, boy, I mean, I had so many versions of that. And I had actually emailed all the women that I knew. And I called the email Bellies and Beards. And I said, you know, can you please tell me like what it's like for you at this point in your life? And you know, a lot of people wrote me back and they were like, please don't tell anybody that I told you this. but my vagina is dry. Like things, you know what I mean? Sorry, guys. You gotta go with it. We're all in this together. And so like some would like tell me these things, like they were confessing this shame. They were ashamed. And so that's when oh yeah. And that same season I had gone to my gynecologist, and there were these leaflets, these like gross green leaflets that said the menopause years. And it was like like a dirty magazine or something like in the corner, and I was like, I like put it in my bag. I was embarrassed. And I ended up hanging that up on my writing board. And so after the whole season, I had figured it out, like what I was gonna do. I kept looking at this leaflet that said the menopause years. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with this? I have to put this in. And so I wrote to all my friends, and I realized they felt so much shame. And so I shot them all in the dark light, like a Philip K. Dick novel, and just confessing to their menopause and their symptoms. And yeah, it just, you know, it was incredibly, it was crazy. I wrote to anybody who was on the set, and I said, if you want to tell your story, come and I'll film you. Like, I have so many good outtakes. That would be like an amazing.
One might think that in 2025, that was a few years ago, but still, that especially in Hollywood, a very progressive place, that wouldn't be so revolutionary, so unique to have those kind of talk on TV. But it is. Earlier, we talked about your early years, and you said it's much better now. How better is it now? And do you feel that you could do that again and again? Now it's okay, TV is ready, people are ready to have those discussions?
Yeah, I feel so. I mean, I did that like, how many years? Like 4 or 5 years ago. And now people are really talking about menopause. So you guys, I did this like 5 years ago. I just remember that. But nobody ever talked to me about it. So when I realized like it was happening to me, and I was going to the gyno, and it was like this leaflet, and it felt embarrassing. This is just something that I started doing in my writing, is talking about things like when I'm writing, and if my heart starts beating and I start feeling uncomfortable, I know it's gold. I know it's gonna work. About anything. Like I encourage people, you know, my own writers and anybody who's starting, you've got to write like the 8-year-old version of you. You're alone in your room, and you've got a diary, and there's a little tin key and a lock, and you think nobody's ever gonna read it. You gotta write like nobody's ever gonna read it, because then you get it all on the page, and then you have it. And then later, if you need to strip it away, you can do that. And if you get scared, you can throw it away.
How political is your job? You're not a politician, but still, in the stories you tell, do you feel that you have a duty? And what is your duty today as an artist?
Yes, my duty is to art, comedy, cinema, and walking that hairy edge, and not having all the teeth taken out of what I'm doing, because people get afraid now. And if you do it with the best of intentions, it's going to work. If you do it with fear, and if you write with fear, and if you lead with fear, it's never going to work. So for me, it's my superpower is the confidence that I have now. the confidence that I didn't have when I started.
Thank you. We're going to take questions from the audience. So, il y a des micros. Pour ceux d'entre vous qui parlent anglais, for those who want to ask questions directly in English, do it.
Allô.
If you need, si vous avez besoin d'une traduction, c'est moi qui ferai une traduction
Oh my
la
God,
plus
there's
brève
people
possible.
up there too. I didn't even know you guys.
Où sont... Alors, dites-moi quand il y a un micro qui a été donné. Il y a plein de mains qui se lèvent, donc je laisse les distributeurs de micros qui sont en train de les allumer là-bas. Choisir. Ah, j'entends une voix. Test. Ah, c'était le test, pardon. That was the test. All right. We have a question here.
Hi there.
Hi.
I've been following your work since Louis. I'm a huge fan of yours, so thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you.
I was wondering, do you have any advice for writers and comedians who are starting out and are trying to put themselves out there?
Well, the last thing I said is definitely for you. And keep, you know, you're a writer and you're a comedian, so you're ahead of the game because you have two muscles that you can flex. And it's like, if you can tie into that, and if you don't get discouraged, you have to, especially now, I think that there's so much fear. Everything has gone sideways with the studio mergers, corporations, and AI, and people don't know what's going to happen. Like, are robots going to be writing the shows? Like, holy shit, I know. But if you have a voice and a vision, that's what you tap into. And all that it is your story, because nobody else has that, and your point of view. So just keep at it and keep opening drafts and keep writing down. It doesn't even matter. Don't judge what you do. Don't judge yourself, because everybody else is going to judge you. You know, just be free and write with abandon and do your comedy with abandon, and you're going to be great. We threw hearts at each other.
J'entends une voix. Où êtes-vous? Ici au premier rang.
Bonjour.
Just right.
Bonjour.
Hi, Pamela. It's an honor to meet you. I'm a big fan of Better Things. I was wondering how much of it is directly from your personal life, and how much is just made up, and how has your family reacted to it? Your daughters, your mother, how did they react to the show?
Well, like I said to Pierre, it's like, it is, the bones of my life. And then I went younger when I started with the girls than my daughters are now. My mother this is the greatest example I could tell you. Even when it's a heavy Phil episode, like, when she Munchausen's herself and breaks her foot on purpose after she steals the ring because she wants attention, my mother laughed through that whole episode. She just thought she loves to be part of the conversation, and that she's inspired me in any way. And then she just got even more of a handful as the years went by. And finally I went, I don't need any more material. Just stop, just be a person. So, yeah, and in terms of, my daughters, for me, I was able to tell a lot of my stories when I was a girl. And my daughters, like, I have 3 daughters, so that means I have 50 kids, because all of their friends are my kids. And a lot of them would come to my house if they were coming out, or they needed a place, a safe space or shelter or whatever. I was just that mom. But then I would find, like, a hot weed pipe, and I would be like, what the fuck is this? And I would like come at the kids, and I would be like, okay, what do you expect me to do? Hi, Fabby Poo. What do you expect me to do? I'm a single mom. I don't want, the cops coming in here. So it would be like that balance. But I was able to really shine a light on some of their stories in a way that they felt really seen. And again, it's rare air that I was able to do this in that world of 5 seasons in the past 8 years, creating and building this story that was like a Fabergé egg that I really wanted to take care of.
Hello. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Carl.
Hi, Carl. Everybody
yes.
say hi, Carl. There you go.
No, they've said it too many times, but just my friends. But anyway, I just wanted to ask about navigating the network, because you put so much of yourself and how sensitive and raw your material is into the pages, and then you send the pages in, and then let's say an executive says, I don't like this, or can you make it less intense? For example, the menopause monologue. What is your reaction, your gut reaction first, and then how do you navigate the response? Because that's something that I think when you put something so raw, it's tricky because that's like a part of you that's on the page.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Carl, and your friends. So, like I said, you've got to put everything in there and not judge what you're putting down, because you're going to have those roadblocks as you go through each step. So I remember I used to get like a certain note, season 1, and then season 2, one of my executives said, I'm not going to give you this note because I know what you do. And so they, it's a trust, but like for example, the C word scene, the networks use this word tonnage. So they're like, do you have to say it 60 times? Can we, but different things are crafted in different ways. Like there's this scene, I don't know if you guys know, where I'm in the truck with Sonny's ex-husband and we almost kiss, and I slap my hand on his mouth and I'm screaming no, and I said no like 80 times, but that's just because I was shooting it in 3 different directions. And my editor, Deb Simone, she cut it together so brilliantly that we got to keep I think there's 50 no's in that sequence. In terms of other things, I remember getting a comment from somebody at the network saying, I didn't see this on the page, but now I do. So it's a matter of getting your draft through, shooting it, and then when I turn in my cuts, then the greatest gift would be like, I did not see it, I didn't feel it. And that's another thing. If you're judging your writing from what's on the page, yes, I'm a director, but if you can also you have to pie in the sky it when you're writing, and put it all in there, because eventually you're not going to be able to afford to shoot at Versailles. You're going to have to take it out of Versailles and shoot somewhere else. But if the intention is there, then it works. So, it's trust, and it's also putting everything into your drafts and feeling confident with them. Is that good, Carl? Was that? Okay, cool. I know this lady This person in an orange shirt. There you go.
Thanks. Hello. Well, it seems to me you've been doing a lot of job on representativity, maybe showing what it is like to be a woman, opening the dialogue also about some of this. My question is, do you have like maybe advices for, let's say, the next generations of writers that don't necessarily write like autofiction thing, maybe different genres? Like there's still work to do. Do you have advice for us? For how can we do it?
Thank you. So in terms of not just, so autofiction, that's what she was saying. Yeah, I mean, it's applicable to anything. And there's like, you know, even to a game, if you're creating a game or you're creating a brand or a line of clothing or writing a book, you write what you're passionate about is what I would say. And don't write what you think is appropriate. I think that is killing everything. You know, in terms, you know, there's a line, and you need to include everything. And so if you write with the right kind of spirit, and you're not mean-hearted, I mean, I'm sure it works. I know it's working for some other fucking people, but that's not what works for me. I want to write, and I want to encourage people to write about what moves them and motivates them from inside. And so my father, at the end of his life, he was doing these storytelling workshops, and he would go and speak to people who weren't writers to help them write their stories. And it's really something incredible to think that every single person in here is a writer and could write something that's meaningful and powerful. Is that what you asked me? I don't fucking know. You had a cool accent, and then I'm trying to sound smart. Was that okay? Ça suffit. Okay, thank you.
Where's the mic now? There is, yeah, une question ici, et après on en a une au-dessus et une au milieu. On en a au moins 3 là.
Hello, thank you for being here. We've talked about what you've already done, and do you have any upcoming project? And what would you like to achieve before you end of your career? Because you've done so many things, and what is left to do?
Thank you so much. So I would like to, well, so we did King of the Hill, a reboot is coming out this year. I'm part of this show called Mid-Century Modern, which is coming on Hulu next week with Nathan Lane and Matt Bomer, which is a real sitcom created by David Cohan and Max Munchnick, who created Will and Grace. Linda Lavin, God bless the dead, was in it for a minute, and so that's really fun for me. I'm putting together my next feature that I wrote, that I thought that was going to be the first feature I directed, but it ended up being Babes. And I'm adapting an Argentinian film, which I never thought I was going to do that. But these opportunities are coming, but it takes a lot of time. And so what I would like to achieve is something very simple. I just would like to work. I just want to keep working. Just like when I started, it's still the same. So it's not like a big lofty ambition. I would like to survive. I would like my mom to be okay and my kids to be okay and keep working. Poo, poo, poo.
Nous avons un bonnet bleu au 3e rang qui avait levé la main. Je dis pas de bêtises. Enfin, d'ici, ça a l'air bleu pour le micro.
The guy with the cool hat.
Ah, il y a déjà quelqu'un. Ok, so le micro, il est où?
I see a trilby.
D'accord. Donc là, et ensuite, on fera le bonnet et on approchera. Ça sera la fin. Je suis sûr que vous avez un prénom, on l'entendra quand vous aurez le micro.
Hi, and thank you for being here. I'm here.
Hi.
So I've been told once when I was a drama student that young people don't know how to write, and that was one of my drama teacher who said that to me.
Fuck her.
Him, actually.
Fuck him.
Yes. So I was wondering if you have any advice for young writers, and what would you say to us?
That's so crazy. I hate that. Why? Why would you shut somebody down? He's dumb, and he was trying to say, you have to live a life. You've got to go live a life, and your thoughts aren't interesting enough yet to be seasoned, but you already have your childhood trauma. You could draw from that. We are rich with that, all of us. And it's the same thing that I've kept saying. It's like, I used to get held up by trying to write in Final Draft. Like I said, I didn't even know how to use Final Draft. It drove me crazy. And finally I said, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to let the technical stuff stop me. So by technical stuff, I also mean structure, all of those things that I was not trained in. And so it's massively important to write in a stream of consciousness way that, there's really no excuse. Like, because everybody has a phone and everybody has a notes app or a voice memo, and you could write a fucking book while you're walking down the street. Don't stop yourself. Even for a kid, it's unfair to say, you've got nothing to say. Everybody has something to say. And so I remember having dinner with a friend of mine who was working on a big movie. And she said, and when I'm done, I'm going to start writing a book. But I got to wait for this movie, and it's like 4 more months or whatever. And I'm like, why? Why would you wait? Because there's always time. You're sitting on the toilet. You're, waiting for your coffee. You have thoughts. Just speak them into your phone. And then you're going to have this treasure trove of material that you can later cut and paste and put in a document, and you have a show, a book, a movie. Is that good? Was that about the young thing? We'll talk later. Give her my number, I'm sorry.
On va faire 2 dernières questions et après il faudra vraiment qu'on termine. Donc désolé, bonnet bleu s'il vous plaît. Et ensuite on aura
There's a lady in the
monsieur.
back, she's waving. I don't know what to
Il y a
do.
plein de gens malheureusement. There are many people asking and I'm already past the time we were supposed to do. Donc s'il vous plaît ici, au 3e rang. Et ensuite le monsieur avec le chapeau noir qui est derrière. Et on finira là-dessus. Désolé pour ceux qui n'ont pas pu prendre la parole.
Thank you very much. I have just a short question because you're a mom of 3 kids and you have such an impressive career. How did you do that? Like, do you have a secret? Because just by doing that, you're kind of a superwoman.
Okay, so this is what I say. Every woman is a superwoman, and the expression badass makes me want to vomit. I hate it so much because it's like she's a badass woman. She's a woman. That, is the superpower. So I've also said, I wrote it in the show, I say every mom is a single mom, whether she's married or not. Come on, you guys. You fucking know. Thank you. Snaps. I see you snapsing. But yeah, I mean, that really was where I never had an aspiration to, you know, get married and have kids. That was not even on my radar. I had sex. And then a baby. So these things like happen to you, but it's like when somebody wants to stop their career to raise their kids, you know, yeah, God bless you. Hopefully you have a partner who makes a living, but I raised my daughters and said, you never take money from anybody and you never give your money away. Like this is the thing. So I mean, yeah, it seems like I'm a superwoman, but it's just, that's just being a woman to me.
Monsieur.
Excusez-moi. Bonsoir. Alors moi, je vais la faire en français. Je suis Nicolas. Pour tout vous dire, donc bravo déjà pour votre incroyable carrière. Moi, avant de tout l'aspect visuel, moi, je voulais vous dire que vous étiez une voix pour moi et une voix assez incroyable puisque je suis non-voyant. Et du coup, je m'interrogeais puisque vous en parliez là pendant cette intervention. Vous avez été scénariste, vous avez une passion pour la danse, pour la musique au sens large. Et ma question, elle est assez simple, c'est selon vous, finalement, qu'est-ce qui fait qu'une musique ou une voix va faire qu'une série ou une fiction sera finalement une réussite? Merci beaucoup.
I heard music.
Yeah, I'm
I heard
trying
incredible.
to translate that. That's not my job, so I hope I'm going to do that properly. So, sir, the sir's name is Nicolas, and you're blind, if I'm right. And so he said that to you. So he said, "Bravo for your career." That he said to
Thank
him,
you, Nicolas.
"You're a voice," and so, but you also dance. And shit, I lost the real question. That's not my job. Someone help me, please. Do you feel that music? Oh, music.
That music or someone's voice influences the way the TV show is going to be perceived or how it's going to be received?
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicola. Music for me is baked into everything that I'm doing. So I feel, you know, somebody asked me the other day, it was Noemi, your buddy. We were talking about podcasts, and I was like, I don't listen to podcasts because I allow myself to listen to, I have a radio in my bathroom, and in the morning I listen, and then at night I listen. And sometimes it's NPR, public radio, or BBC, which gets to be scary because it's news. And then the rest of the time, it's just music. And I'm telling you, it's like I think about scenes. I think about characters. And so when I hear a song, Nicola, like I heard, you know, the Hot Chocolate song, I believe in miracles. Where you from, you sexy thing? I heard that song, I'm driving in my car, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm gonna put this when Max comes out of the clinic. She's coming out of Planned Parenthood. And I'm not saying it, but she just had an abortion. And she didn't tell her mom. But her mom's best friend is there to pick her up. Rich, Diedrich Bader. And I just knew that song had to be there. And I knew that I wanted to do Christine and the Queens Tilted. I wanted to recreate this dance I knew it. I saw it in my head that the family was going to all do this dance. And I had to start learning it at the beginning of the season. I was so excited when I got the song, too. Night swimming, REM, when I got this cue, I remember I got a note. The publisher, the manager said, with gratitude, that they wanted me to know. Laurie Anderson gave me Oh Superman for literally a song, because my budget is this small. It's really small, Nicola. I know you can't see my fingers doing the thing. I'm making squeezy small fingers. But you know, it's incredibly moving to me. And I'm here with my jury, and one of my jurors is Victor Leman. He's a Frenchie, like a lot of you guys, and he wrote the Olympics theme. He's great. You guys would love him. Anyway, we talk about music all the time, and I was talking about American Gigolo, which I watched right before I came here for the 100th time, because of the way the use of the music in this soundtrack. So it's a huge motivator for me. I did write one episode of my show, which was the finale of season 1, called Only Women Bleed, based on the Alice Cooper song. I wrote it into the script, and I didn't even have the song yet. And we'd already shot a bunch of it, and then I found out that I got the song. But I've had my heart broken a few times. And anyway, it's wonderful to, I really wanted this one Cat Stevens song, but the wind, and somebody said penis in the scene, and I was like, why did you give him the pages? He didn't need to know that part. So then I couldn't use the wind. Anyway, I guess I'm not Wes Anderson, but cool.
Thank you very much, Pamela.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Merci.